Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Wally. So today we're going to go over comb vent, V-vent flashing. These come in all kinds of different sizes. Now we have accessories that will fit this.
Yes, we do.
That's the labor saving thing. But if you're ever in a situation you don't have accessory, you're going to have to field wrap it out of our unsupported, UN55. And you ever walked up on a roof and seen, once I got the target on, I've seen guys do this in 1, 2, 3.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Multiple pieces.
And then they come in and put a donut on it because they can get enough out on the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. People are going to be watching this going, as I'm laying this out, they're going to be going, no way, that's crazy. It's too much math. Have an open mind. Hear me out, because it seems like it's taken me forever, but I'm talking you through it.
Oh, absolutely.
I would have already been done laying this out if I wasn't talking. Now, straight pipe is pretty easy. It's the same size, a 4-inch or 6-inch, same size, one measurement, okay? This is a little different. This is a little challenging. Again, we're trying to eliminate doing multiple pieces. Now, what's our minimum hand weld?
1.5 inches.
Inch and a half. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if you do a field wrap, we will allow you a 1-inch minimum hand weld, right?
Fully welded.
The caveat to this, my target
must be up
an inch. Okay, that's something everybody has to remember. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to lay out this target.
Perfect.
And what I would highly suggest you do, because you may do one of these, I may do one of these, and there's nothing wrong with that. It may not leak, it may probe, not a problem, but the building owner is going to come up and go, how come that looks different than that? And it just starts throwing up a lot of red flags.
Yes.
So if you want to do this, make everything the same. The first thing I'm going to do is lay out my target. Now my bottom of this, I'm going to call that 7 inches, okay?
Okay.
I don't want to cut that whole 7 inches, because I want to come up an inch.
Okay. 7 inches.
I'm going to cut this 5, okay? Because I want to heat it and I want to stretch it up the pipe. Now I'm going to save a little material. This stuff's 2 foot wide.
Right.
So I'm going to make it 2 foot long.
Makes sense to me.
And I'm going to use all of it. In the real world, this would probably be buried under the roof. It could be on top of the insulation, you know, and screwed down through, or it could be buried under, but I'm going to have screws and plates around this. If this were on top of the insulation and I screwed it down, there's my base attachment.
Yes.
Either way, I got to be beyond this flange, because I'm going to have field sheet running in here, right?
Right.
Either this buried or not, I'm going to have to cover the screws or cover this metal flange.
Right.
So I'm just going to make this simple. I'm 2 foot here, so I'm going to make it 2 foot here. So I'm going to just cut this 2 foot. So now I want to kind of find my center. I don't have to be perfect, but I want to be fairly close. Okay, once I got it folded, this is going to be the middle. Again, now I don't want to make this 7 inches, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to make that 5. So I'm going to go 2.5 on my middle cut. I'm just going to make a couple little marks. Now I'm going to cut this out. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. The important thing is here, this has to flare up an inch, because if it doesn't, the inspector's going to feel for that.
And that's why you use UN55.
Yeah. Now, I could heat this up, and I'm going to stretch it, and I'm going to push it over the pipe. Now, rather than waste a lot of time,
there you go.
I've already got one done.
Perfect.
So here's my target. You want this to fit tight. See, I'm at least an inch up that pipe. This is what the inspector's going to feel for once this is all wrapped. All right. Now we've got that done. And if I had multiples of these, before I cut that out, I would trace it.
That's smart.
Lay a bunch out there, they all look the same.
All right. Perfect.
First thing I'm going to do, we've always got some type of insulation on the job, right? ISO, hardboard, doesn't really matter. So I've got a piece of 4x8 insulation here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take my unsupported and I'm going to square it up to my insulation. Kind of roll it out here. So I'm square here. Now what I got to do some measuring. But I need something to measure off. So can you hand me that square right there?
There you go.
You can use one of these. You can use a straight edge. I used to carry a small collapsible one. So I'm square here, and I got to be square here. I'm going to take a marker. Now, depending on the size of that pipe, this is 4 foot wide. I may have to take this line all the way out, which I'm going to do anyway.
We have a line.
We have a line. Okay, here's where the measuring comes in. This is a lot of guys think this is really complicated. Really, it's not. I'm going to measure up 1 inch. I'm going to make a mark. The reason why I come up 1 inch, because I'm going to have to draw a radius. And again, depending on the size of that pipe, if it's bigger, I may come off the material.
Right.
This is why I come up 1 inch.
Okay.
What's minimum flashing height of any flashing on a job?
8 inches.
8 inches. Now, that's not a GAF. We didn't
No,
that's an industry-wide standard,
pretty much.
right? I could take this, and I could go all the way to the top.
Yes.
But I don't need to. No, we're trying to utilize as much of this as we can on a job. I'm going to come up 8 inches.
Okay.
but I have to flare out an inch. So what's my total flashing height going to be?
Oh, 8 plus 1 would be 9.
Oh, very good, very good. So for my 1 inch mark, I'm going to measure up 9 inches. And you want to take it all the way top, knock yourself out. Okay, there's my 2 measuring points. I'm going to measure the base of this, which is 7 inches. My base is 7 inches. Okay. I'm going to come up 8 inches, which is right there. I'm going to measure across this. I'm going to call this 5. Okay?
5 across the top.
I can lay out both of these, but I don't need to.
Okay.
I'm just going to lay out one side. I'm going to take these measurements and divide in half.
All right.
Okay, more math for you. Ready for this?
Yeah.
Got a calculator?
Well,
What's half of 7?
3.5.
3.5. From my 1 inch mark, I'm going to come over 3.5, make a mark. What's half of 5?
2.5.
2.5. This is the top of my flashing.
So
Bottom is
5 is
3.5.
3.5. Top is 2.5. Okay.
I'm going to take my handy dandy straight edge, kind of like connecting the dots. Right here,
Oh, is that your pivot point?
that is going to be my pivot point.
Oh, okay.
This is where I need your assistance. Don't chalk a line. Don't use chalk line,
No.
because now you got chalk all over.
Absolutely.
This is just a piece of scrim we pulled out of the TPO. Use something that you don't really need chalk. So I need you to go over there and hold that nice and tight. Wow. Who's going to get you down from there
I don't know. I thought of that as soon as I got up here.
Okay. Okay, you got it?
Yep.
This doesn't work. This is all on you. Okay,
I hate
pull me
that.
up.
Hang on. I gotta get my thumb here right on this X.
Got it?
Yep.
Okay, there's my wrap. I could cut this, and I can bring it to the pipe and just cut off enough for a lap. Or I can make one more measurement. You don't have to do this. I'll show you another option. Again, I can, trying to save material. Go around the base of this. I'm going to call that a 23. I'm going to add 2 inches to it, which would be 25, right?
Makes sense.
What's half of 25, Dave?
12.5.
12 and a half. This
Right
center
there.
line,
Uh-huh.
here's 25. Here's the end of my tape. All I'm going to do is pull this down
At 12.5.
at 12 and a half until 25 is right here. And there's the end of my tape. Here's my straight edge, our pivot point right there. Now this line you don't have to draw all the way through.
So when you're laying this out, everything goes to the pivot point.
Yes, sir. Again, this sounds more complicated than it is. Once you do one of these, I could have this, I've done it probably welded by now. Now again, if this doesn't work, whose fault is it?
Mine.
That's right.
Thank you for reminding me that. So you have your target on. This is your wrap.
This is my wrap. Let's make sure it works. Remember, you helped me.
Dude,
Huh? Now what do I got to do here?
you got to flare it.
Flare it out. Before I flare it out, what would this be?
Pattern.
All right. This is where a lot of guys struggle. Seen guys stretch this out 3-4 inches, right?
When you stretch it out, you take the millage down and you can blow through it very easily.
This is why we say 1 inch. We want to stay as close to this 55 as we can.
Okay.
Okay. Now a lot of guys are trying to heat this whole thing up, and then they try and stretch.
Yeah.
Again, I had to learn the hard way. All I do is I go about 3 or 4 inches at a time. You know as well as I do, there's a fine line to overheating this.
Mm-hmm.
It starts to deform. That's when you know you can start stretching it. All I do is pull the outside. The rest will come with it. 3 or 4 more inches. Pull the outside. Okay, every once in a while you can bring it to the pipe and make sure it's stretching it out how you want it. And
Now-
just keep working my way around.
What do you do with the wrinkles that are in it?
I'll pull those out as I stretch it.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Dave, I about got this welded down. Okay, so we've got it all welded. What do I need here at the top? Like
What-
any pipe,
We need water block
Water block
between the
behind.
substrate and the membrane,
right?
a clamp, and then caulk, all-purpose caulk on top.
So I'm sure you've seen this. You try and put a clamp on something that's so tapered like this. What does that clamp want to do?
It just tends to want to keep going out.
Slide it up, right?
Yeah.
Or over time,
It's magic.
the roof moving will work that clamp off. Some guys tell me, well, I take a zip screw. You don't want to do that. Put a zip screw through your flashing. So a little trick is grab some reinforced material, not unreinforced, reinforced. Inch or so wide, I don't know, 2-3 inches long. Maybe a pipe this big. What I'm going to do, I'm going to make like a belt loop. I'm going to weld this to the wrap. weld it to itself. Like I said,
Oh.
maybe 3 of these, maybe 4. Now I can take my clamp and I can slip inside this. I don't have to worry about a zip screw. That clamp won't want to slide off. If you got a storm collar where you can kind of caulk it all up, kind of hide it, nobody will ever see it.
Good point.
So again, definitely takes longer than an accessory.
Mhm.
If you don't have an accessory, it sure beats doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Well, repair guys would do this more probably than the crew because the
Exactly.
repair guy wouldn't necessarily have the boots with him.
Right.
And this is a lost art.
Steel wrapping is.
Mhm.